So I'm in this 2-year bender, sitting in the apartment with my wrestling buddies. I've been watching it. Well, no, I hadn't watched it. We already watched UFC 1, and it immediately I didn't believe. The first fight I saw, and I'm like, no, this is scripted. It looks scripted and fake. Can't be real. And if it is real, what the f***'s this sport been? I would have been doing it since I was 5.
Am I gonna go?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Mono Loyalty Legacy. My name is Matt.
You're hanging out with Ross, aka the champ.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are sitting with a real-life superhero. The man before us heroically saved his parents' lives from a burning inferno in March of 2024. He was a 2-time state wrestling champion at Joseph Central High School. He was a 2-time Mid-American Conference wrestling champion. He was a 2-time All-American at both Miami, Ohio, as well as Ohio State University. He won first place at the NCAA Big Ten Championships. He was a national wrestling champion at Ohio State University. He won 3 Pan American Championships for freestyle wrestling. He was a Pan American Games gold medalist. He was a USA National Freestyle Champion. He was a member of the United States Olympic Wrestling Team. He was the first ever UFC heavyweight champion. He was the UFC 10 champion. He was the UFC 11 champion. He was the 2000 Pride Grand Prix openweight tournament champion and had the fastest win in Pride history. He's a 2-time UFC Hall of Famer. He is credited with proving the ability of wrestlers to dominate the sport of mixed martial arts. This is a man that both Ross and I grew up watching in the sport of MMA. He's one of the greatest fighters to ever walk planet Earth. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the godfather of ground and pound. We present the living legend, Mark the Hammer Coleman. Too many accolades. I stumbled over my words a little bit.
That was quite the introduction.
Okay.
I
covered it all?
I got emotional.
Yeah.
On that shit.
You're an absolute legend, man. I was stumbling over my words. I was so nervous, man, because you're such a legend. You're one of the greatest to ever do it, man. You, the innovator of ground and pound, man. You prove that champions in the UFC, even in present day, how dominant wrestlers run the sport of MMA, and you are the forefather of all of that. And all those accolades, I mean, I was hoping I didn't miss anything. Did I get it all?
World silver medalist.
World silver medalist, okay.
That was very important to me. That's the closest I came to fulfilling my dream, being the best in the world at something. And I didn't quite make it. And then the Olympics came a year later, and I lost to 2 guys I'd beaten in the World Championships earlier. Fell to 7th place, and then, thank God the UFC came around and gave me a shot because I was not satisfied.
You got to say it one time to start, Mark.
Huh?
You got to say it right now to start off.
Heroes for life! Yeah, baby! I knew it!
Let's go, brother. Yeah, dude.
I feel good today. I'm not gonna lie. I'm better than ever mentally. That's a weekly or whatever process. But today, I'm at total peace. I'm happy, and I'm blessed. I mean, I was always blessed.
We got to let people know Mark is still jacked, still in awesome shape. We saw him outside with his shirt off, and he is still just as ripped as ever, ladies and gentlemen. So, Mark, let's just get right into it. When you first saw, I don't know if this is true or not, but you first saw MMA on TV, you're hanging out with your buddies, you're like, I could beat the shit out of all those guys. Is that true? Is that how you first got your idea to get into the sport of MMA? Is that true?
Yeah. I'm sitting on campus at Ohio State. I'm 31 years old, still living on campus. Lost it to 92 Olympics, and I fell apart after that. I came back, and I hadn't partied for 27 years, basically, just very little. I'm going to take some time off the wrestling match because it was brutal on the body. And, well, I started experimenting with everything, and 1 month turned into 3 months, turned into 3 years. But I never missed a weight training session. So the time off the mats was needed, just not 3 years and not the booze and drugs. But I was finally able, because I wrestled at 220 pounds. I couldn't beat the 198-pounder. Chris Campbell, 36-year-old man, came out of retirement, and he was in the way of my dreams. I wrestled him once, and I determined I might not be able to beat him in a couple of years at the Olympic trials. So I moved up to 220, but I could only get up to about 220 naturally. Everybody thinks I was on the roids, not during my wrestling career. Obviously, in the UFC and stuff, I started, but 220. So I'm not your typical wrestler. I'm eating like the heavyweight all the time. So I forget what the question was and where I was going with even the answer.
We were talking about how you first got the idea to get
Oh yeah. So I'm in this 2-year bender, sitting in the apartment with my wrestling buddies. I'd been watching it. Well, no, I hadn't watched it. We already watched UFC 1, and it immediately I didn't believe. The first fight I saw, and I'm like, no, this is scripted. It looks scripted and fake. Can't be real. And if it is real, where the is this sport been? I would have been doing it since I was 5. And
Hell yeah.
and I seen Gracie, and immediately I'm like, I'm snapping like a twig. And then the other guys, I was not impressed at all. And wrestlers, we had it out. Karate was on every corner of the street. You're doing its stupid thing with them, the senseis. We knew that was garbage, and we didn't have the platform. And then, so I watched it for about 2 years. It didn't pull me off my bender. I kept drinking, kept training, lifting, but I knew I was going to get in. It took for them. I went out for the Olympic team in '96. I went out for the team. I beat Mark Coleman in the first round, knocked his dream off. And then I lost in the semifinals. Kurt Angle ends up going on and winning the whole thing, but that's another story. But after I lost, I'm out, and this manager / trainer, Richard Hamilton, I don't talk about him much, but Richard Hamilton took me into a room, and he said, I got a slot in UFC 10 in 35 days. I'm here looking at some guys. I'm the guy. I said, hey, look, who you looking at? Kerr, Tom Erickson? I said, I'll kill him. I said, I just see Don Fry's ass. I will smash the out of him. I said, I'm the man for the job. That's it. What do you want me to do? What do I have to do? We got a big contract sitting there. And I said, well, basically, I'm going to be taking these down and ground and pounding the shit out of them, right? He's like, well, yeah, but I'm going to show you a few things. I'm like, yeah, you are. Yeah, okay. And I'm like, okay. I said, let me see that contract. Where I sign? Well, don't you need to take it home and let your attorney look at it? No, I don't give a. I'm sure Kerr and Erickson do. No, I'll sign today. I'll be on a plane tomorrow. Come out to Arizona. He was a Baptist Christian priest, and it was 20,000 seat church, and he had a big MMA, a gym in the corner of it where he was doing his thing. And I say that because he turned out to be a completely different man than Richard Hammer. That was a fake face, fake name, but
And who is this? Who is this like in relation? Like, how'd you come in contact with him initially?
I lost.
Okay.
He come up and grabbed me into a room.
Yeah.
And I talked my way in.
Okay.
Because finally, I said, I bet Kurt and Erickson need their attorney to look at that, don't they?
Yeah.
We had time. We got 35 days. And basically, he said, he asked me, he goes, you willing to do steroids? I'm like, yeah. That's it. I didn't do them during my wrestling career. I was afraid to flunk the drug test, this and that. Hey, I knew the game right before, and it did. I was already one of the strongest human beings alive, and it put on 20 pounds on me real quick. I went up to 240, and I'd have been scared myself.
Seen the videos, brother.
So anyways, he didn't tell me right there, but I think he knew he had the man. And I think he knew, and he let me know. And I was on a plane on Monday, flew out to Arizona, and yeah, I put the bottle down. Now I know I'm going into something. And wrestling, you lose. But man, so I had 35-day grind, and yeah, I let this guy show me a few. I fortunately there was no Royce Gracie's in there, so I went over the armbar and all that, but I horsed my way out of it like nothing with the guys I was practicing with. I didn't really know how it was, but found out later. But so that's it, man.
What about your striking? How did you work on the?
Well, I just I didn't think I had time, and I didn't know if the sport was going to last more than one show. So I'm not worried about my striking at all. I'm going to punch the hell out of the bag to get in shape, and I'm going to punch the hell out of the bag on the ground. But I knew the only way these guys could beat me is if they get the big one on me. I didn't play around. The game plan was, I'm not even going to throw one punch. I'm going to throw one punch, but I'm coming in right after it, and I'm just avoiding anything he's going to throw at me. And I knew about the possible knee coming on the way in, because this Richard Hamilton, he made me one day. He says he put me up against this pretty bad kickboxer, and he said, "Well, that was my game plan. I'm gonna close the distance so fast, and ain't nobody." He made me practice one day early on. Well, I want you to throw a few punches, try to hit him this and that, and I'm like, well, I don't, why, what? And sure enough, man, I was open range for him because I wasn't, and I did take a knee in the top of the head. It was vicious. It didn't knock me out. Luckily, it was right on the top and not the face, because this dude would have had to take my place. And you're going to see. So I questioned this guy rather early in his coaching, but it was a bad practice because I didn't know what I was supposed to really be doing. I was confused by what I was supposed. I went home and I laid awake all night, just like, what the was that practice? And show up the next day, and there this dude was, because he's strutting around thinking wrestling. You know what I mean? He thought his Muay Thai and all that was and I came in, I'm gonna do it my way today, or no. I got this down before he had any chance to score, and I beat the out of him that steady. And that's it. My confidence was shaking, but then no, I got this.
Was there any nerves? I mean, you're wrestling at the top of level.
You gotta tell me stop, because my mom's watching this, and I don't like.
We'll bleep it out. We'll bleep it out. You're good. You got you, brother. Now, you're wrestling at the toppest level, right? And you're, wrestling to get in the Olympics, college. Was there a switch of any nerves? Because now you're going into a cage. Did that ever cross your mind? I mean, I know you have a mindset. Did you have any nerves going in for the first time? Not fear, just like
fear, buddy.
Was it
Everybody's got fear.
Oh yeah.
Anybody says they don't's a liar.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, fear. But I was in wrestling. I let the pressure never got to me, but it changed how I actually wrestled. In practice, I whoop people, just throw them around, try. But in practice, I had my game plan. I was very strategic, stalling a lot of times, but make sure. But fear in that, but I dealt with it. Obviously, I won the national champions. That was one of my biggest things. That was brutal. You got to go 9 months, stay healthy, and your body's got to maintain. You're probably better at the middle of the season than you are at the end, because your body's constantly getting a little bit weaker throughout that 9 months, but your conditioning's just getting a little bit better. So it's a good trade-off, but you don't want to trade too much, because strength was my game.
Right.
And then what was the question?
It was just, changing gears, going from the mats to the cage. Was it? You're like, holy.
So did I finish what happened? Yeah. I'm watching it with my guys, and I was confident as hell. I was really confident until Richard Hamilton said, "It's your job." And then I went back home and I watched Down Fry again. I'm like, wait a minute, man. This guy, I said I'm gonna smash and kill this guy, but all of a sudden he looked tough when I knew I was getting in there. Yeah. lots of fucking pressure, lots of nerves. But the only way to prepare and train for that is your training, your conditioning. So 35 days is not enough, but it was enough that I knew the 3 guys I had to beat that night, it was going to be enough for them. I wasn't positive, and I found out with Don Fry 11 minutes into it. I mean, he hit me one time from the bottom. When I took a break and I looked at him after beating on him for 4 or 5 minutes, I took a break and stared him in the eyes, and he just shot one up at me, and it was a thud. I'm like, you know, this guy's still fighting. 11 minutes. His hands were up here defending. You know, I'm wondering, I realized, what did you get yourself into? Because I had some street fights, and it's like, hey, fight's over. And this guy's face is just, his eyes are closed, his face is swelling. I'm headbutting him. And when the headbutts were there, it wasn't fair, man. And that's it. Headbutt, you got to protect that. Drill the body hard. I went to the body hard, and then hands come down, back up. Throw a couple of those in there, headbutt, just back and forth. Down Fry, 11 minutes. Hey, I had no idea a human being could take this kind of punishment. And I'm getting tired, so because it's a lot of work, 11 minutes, and I only had a 35-day camp. And I'm getting really nervous in there that if I slip off and make one mistake, I was worried that he was going to get on top of me, payback. But that would have never happened. But I was nervous out there. And Big John, I don't think he liked me from the beginning, to be honest with you. I think they wanted Fry to win that night, and he pulled me off, Fry, at about the 9-minute mark or something like that. He pulled me off. I said, "Is it over?" He said, "Go to your corner." What the? So they take me in my corner, Fry. They take him to the corner. He's a bloody mess. They clean him up. Big John's talking to him, and everybody's talking to him, cleaned him up. And then they started to fight. Why did they put him back on his back? No, they started to stand up. They wanted this cat to win. But by this time, no, I could have stood with him by that point, but I'm not going to take any chances. And got him right back down. And his hands are down, lower. I'm looking like, when are you going to stop this? Because I don't want to kill somebody. It's not me, man. I'm not a maimer. On my street fights, I would never maim anybody. I win the fight and stop. But finally, 3-4 minutes later, he's down here. He's just, I'm like, kind of looking out the corner of my eye at Big John. Okay. He's right in the eye. And he didn't stop it. So a couple more, finally Big John pulls me off again. Is it over? Go to your corner. I don't know, I won. I was sitting there like, I'm exhausted. And then finally, actually, John over there talking to him again, and I see him do this. That was a good feeling.
Oh, I'm sure.
I wanna cut in with that. For people that don't know, the rules were different back then. So people are watching. A lot of people see the new rules of MMA. Like back then, you could headbutt. Explain the difference in the rules, like in the earlier days. You could
there just were no rules.
Yeah, you can just do whatever.
No biting, no eye gouging, no fish hooking. That's a true story.
Yeah.
And even nut shots were even legal.
Right.
So a few people did it, but the headbutts was a game changer.
Yeah.
And then first rule they put in, and it was because of me. And there wasn't a lot of love for these wrestlers. My ground and pound was acceptable, exciting, but then Dan Severn, he calls him. He thinks he's the godfather of ground and pound. He doesn't know why I am. Well, I told people I am. I said it and I did it. He about killed Oleg Taktar with some pretty decent ground and pound, but it took him a long time. You know what I mean? And then a lot of other times he laid and prayed is what it was called.
Right.
And that's what it got called. And it's true. I don't like it at all. I don't like when you take somebody down, like Jorge Masvidal said, nut huggers or whatever he called it, nut huggers. But he did have a lot of respect for me. He said, I like the way Coleman does this. But then you got these other,
not advancing, doing anything.
But if I had it all over to do again, like I said, I didn't think I had enough time to get great. I thought it would take years to get great at boxing and Muay Thai and all that, but so I never put enough effort into it. But when I did in practice, it was fun. In practice, no, I dropped all my guys. Randomly never took me down one time.
I know you're very proud of that.
Yeah.
And once again, Hammer House, baby.
Yeah.
I love it, right?
Oh,
So
God, what a team, man.
let me ask you this.
Fucking Royce Elger, he don't get listed. That's a different story, man. I cornered him first round, and Jesus, that was bad. But Randleman, Brandon Lee Hinkle, Wes the Whole Show Sims, Phil Baroni, and like a handful of other guys. I mean, Nick Nutter, got to give him a call out. He almost beat Igor Vovchanchyn his first fight ever.
I guess it's badass.
Or in the cage.
Yeah.
By himself, they flew him to Israel. 8-man tournament. Is in the finals with this Igor Vovchanchyn guy. He beat the hell out of him for 15 minutes. And then he actually passed guard, kneeing him in the head, knees Igor in the head 5-6 times. And the ref stepped in and stopped it. But he didn't stop it. He stopped it until the arena went nuts. He had quickly just shoved him back into guard. He was in side mount, kneeing him. Now he's in guard 15 minutes, never been in a fight in his life. His hands are broke, no gloves, and it just mentally. And so now he's staring at Igor, and Igor headbutted him from the bottom, right on the nose, busted it right there, and then he gave him another one. So we're about the 21-minute mark, and my guy tapped out, Nick Nutter. Proud as hell of him. That's why I knew I was going to beat Igor. I mean, I seen it.
Yeah.
It was an easy game plan, but yeah, they screwed him. He'd have been in the UFC as in that fight. Nutter would have been a star.
Right.
And then he had to go back home to the wife. And that's how quick a career can go, this way or this way.
Mhm.
You know, so he ended up go back to work. He would have been in the UFC.
That's
Going
cool.
real well.
When you started with the UFC, was Dana White? He was president. He wasn't involved in it back then.
He was the manager.
He was the man.
Managing fighters.
Could you talk about your interactions with him? Did you have any interactions with him in the early days? Mark, Mark was an OG at the sport. You know what I mean? I like to get a difference in how he is presented nowadays and how he was back then. Did you have any?
Mark?
I'm sorry.
I mean, Dana?
Dana, yes.
Well, like I said, he was a manager.
Yeah.
And I came back over from Pride. That's when I had to deal with Dana now.
Yeah.
And he's always been good to me.
Yeah.
You know,
Cool guy.
He's called me a dumbass, stupid plenty of times.
Yeah.
But he's always been good to me. Who don't he call stupid?
Yeah.
Right, sometimes. And now, I love Dana. He hooks me up with tickets to these big shows, and that's what I like to do for fun. Like, get to 4 shows a year, take my daughters. That's a blast.
Absolutely.
To go back there. But I was actually looking to hire. I went through 7, 8 managers. I always said the managers sucked, but they always said you're impossible to work with. You know what I mean? So it was me. But I was going to hire Dana. I asked him if he wanted to be my manager, and he had too many things going on behind the scenes. Next thing you know, he's Dana White and the Fertitta brothers. And it was cool. I had to hold on in Japan and Pride because I always wanted to come back. The UFC cut me. I had to go over there. I was forced to go over there. I loved it, but my goal from the beginning was always to get back in that UFC. And then finally the timing. I mean, it's all about timing. And well, I crossed him. You don't want to cross Dana. So I beat Shogun Rua there at the end of my career. I break his arm. Big fight breaks out afterwards. It was, I trained for it. They gave me 90 days notice. I'm 43 years old, but they didn't think I had a chance. They set you up over there in Japan. They would, if you wanted you to lose, they give you 2 weeks notice. They did it to me plenty of times. I took a fight with Crocop on 2 weeks notice. I said no 10 times, but then when they offered enough money, I sold my soul. I finished my beer after I hung up the phone and said, what are you going to do now? You got to fight Crocop. I beat his ass on a full training camp, in my opinion. But I knew it was going to be, I thought I could at least take him down. But he had 90 days. He brought in the Russian wrestler, and they taught him how to sprawl. And I'm out there with this guy, blasted with a double leg. And sprawl, he was so strong. He was very, very strong, but his sprawl was perfect. Advanced sprawl. He sprawled and circled. You know, that's advanced.
Mhm.
And he was gone. Like, I stood up. I'm like, this is going to suck. So I took about 5 shots to get him down. Couldn't get him down. I would have got him down. I would have set him up there, but I knew I only had a couple minutes in the gas tank. And then so after the 5th time I got up, and he see me go. You see me get one of those, and my posture and everything just changed. And he's seen it, and now he's on the stalk, and I'm backing up. He got me in the corner, but I had my hand up here. He promised everybody he's going to head kick me. His trademark. I wasn't going to let that happen. And I do some punches. I actually leg kicked him once, which is really the stupidest thing I could do. I don't know why I did it. And he smirked. And then I'm still trying to take him down. I got my right leg forward. And then that's what I fight with this stance, but when I'm going to take you down, I got the lead leg forward. And he fucking tied. He could see me put the weight on that front leg, and then he drilled me with a left kick. And I took 50 on from Maurice Smith, and I still wasn't. I didn't really realize, but I seen all 50 coming from Maurice Smith, so I got the weight off. But this one with the weight on, it shot a knife down to my bone.
I was gonna ask, what's it like taking a kick from that guy?
Now I realize what everybody's talking about. I'm out there, zing, and my face just wanted to say, "Ugh." And I'm trying so hard not to show how bad that hurt.
Yeah.
And I'm even telling myself, oh, man, I can't. Paul Varlins came to mind. He got chopped down by Mirko Cro. So I'm like, you can't go out like that, Coleman, man. You know, but I can't go out like this. And then Blade cornered me and bing, 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 3-punch combo. I dropped a flash knockout compared to the Pete Williams knockout. That was the real deal, man. So as soon as I hit the mat, I woke back up. My arms were here. And then I brought him up kind of out of instinct. Sure enough, he was coming, and he could have violently kicked me in the head. He showed me respect and just tapped me in the head, but it gave me a big lump. But Phil Baroni accused me of taking a dive because he goes, well, when you hit the ground, your arms came up. I said, I don't know, but I did a 10-minute interview after that. I don't remember nothing. But Brony, guys, I didn't take it. Takata, come on, everybody knows. But no, I didn't. I was let out, flash knockout. But then he accused me of looking for the soft spot. He called it. But
what is it like fighting multiple? Because nowadays they don't do too many tournament style fights. You know what I mean? What was it like, and how do you prepare to fight multiple opponents in the same night? And how do you overcome the pain per each opponent? You know what I mean? If you take shots the first fight, second fight. A lot of fans nowadays, they see the UFC as just a one fight night. You know what I mean? Like what was it like to be able to go through like that?
Well, I was in the right place, right time. I was blessed, and you got to protect yourself and get to the finals without damage. And I was able to do that. And as far as conditioning and stuff, as a wrestler, we wrestled 5 times in one day. So I felt better the second fight. I felt better going into the finals than I did the first fight, mentally, physically, everything. The first one, Modi Hornet took him down, cracked him 5, 6, 7, 5, 10, 12 times. But I'm like, what the on the streets, it's over. No, and I had gloves on. I got back to my locker room. I looked at Hamilton and I said, I'm taking these gloves off. They're getting in the way. You know what I mean? And I don't listen, man. I'm uncoachable is what I was called in wrestling. Uncoachable. I listen to Dan Gable.
Right.
I listen to that. He coached his Pan American Games. He was a coach. And if I'd have been under his guidance, he would have turned me into a sick animal. But
it was how was it? Your first fight.
Oh yeah, so
fighting multiple people.
He convinced me to keep the gloves on. Thankfully, I listened, because then I had Big Daddy Goodrich the next time. I had to hit him a bunch of times, And going into the finals, the only thing that hurt was my hands were getting sore. And then I had to hit Fry 100 times. And now after that fight, it was so beautiful, man. Yeah, the little black guy from that one punch down by everybody. My hands were just throbbing. And literally for a month, they were still sore. What a beautiful problem to have.
Yeah, right.
You guys at home, you guys got to go and watch these fights if you haven't seen it. Younger people that are just new to the sport of MMA, you need to watch Mark's fights because they are absolutely incredible and they were brutal.
Sometimes, man.
I mean, they were all you were always.
They're awesome, buddy.
The roller coaster career, I was an alcoholic, and you could tell when I trained and when I didn't. It was that simple. So I'm not proud. I don't even feel like a Hall of Famer, really. Journeyman, like a gatekeeper, journeyman.
The accolades at the beginning of this podcast solidify you as a Hall of Famer and one of the best of all time.
Actually, I put it together.
Here's the thing: you're still doing it, dude, and you're doing great things. So be proud of that, man. Seriously,
let's take.
You should. It's I've been blessed, man. That God has given me, and He guided me. Without Him, it don't happen.
You had mentioned something before we started, and we're like, we gotta get that on the mic. You talk about Fedor Emelianenko. Fedor Emelianenko, it was always just this kind of the boogeyman, I guess a lot of people considered him. He had this stone.
Yeah, he's the GOAT. He's the best, in my opinion. 10 years, nobody beats him.
Yeah.
And then, people don't, I understand the story, but I fought him 2 times, but both times I was kind of past my prime and had been, you got to get better over years, not over months, you know what I mean? But I get better, and then I'd sit on the couch and play until the phone rang again. As soon as I got the phone call, got a fight coming up, then it's on. I become obsessed, but unfortunately, not in wrestling. Now wrestling is year-round, 9-month grind, you know what I mean? But no, I didn't have the discipline or the dedication.
What was it like being in there with that guy, though? Because Fedor, yeah. You said he was.
So yeah, he's the best.
The striking.
So I say, like, I told you guys that I don't think I would have ever lost, or maybe 1 or 2 times you're gonna lose. But if I would have been dedicated and had my cardio, nobody beats me. But potentially Fedor does.
Right.
But I don't think so.
You talked about how hard he hit too.
I don't think so, because I take him down. I pounded out him basically. It was an easy takedown. I told Fedor when we met after this, and then I told him, I said, I want your wrestling's not very good. He wasn't offended.
Really?
And no, he was easy takedown.
Yeah.
Not easy, but for me, easy takedown, random and easy takedown. You know what I mean? But
was he strong?
Very, very strong.
Because he doesn't look like it. You see him, but
looks don't mean nothing. He was legitimately. I've been locked up with a bunch of strong dudes. He's right in there with some of the strongest. Crocop, Fedor, Ricardo Moraes. I don't know if you know that Brazilian guy. He was a freak. Who's the wrestler I told you I wrestled?
Kurt Angle.
Well, not Kurt Angle. He was pretty strong too, but he was more. They were ball game. He was a pro wrestler.
Oh, you're talking about
Ali.
Yeah,
the great Ali. He was the strongest human being I ever touched. Pro wrestler, but I wrestled a lot of strong guys. Who else was up there? Severn was very strong. For a natural, you got to get it out there. Hey, you didn't take steroids. That was your choice. Don't. I never flunked the drug test, people. Yeah. I took drug tests. I never flunked the drug test, and Dan Severn was very strong. Don Fry, but he was so much smaller than me, but he was cowboy strong. The second time I faced him, he put on 20 pounds with the steroids, and we weighed the same, 240, the second time. Both of us were overweight. But no, I locked up with him the second time. He's right up there with these guys I named, and I was worried that second time because he wanted me so bad. He hated me. We became best friends real quick, but so much alike. But we locked up, and I'm like, wow, it's super strong. And I'm like, it's going to be a tough one maybe. And no, he didn't have a good camp, and I heard him start breathing real hard, like in about a minute into it. I wasn't in my best shape, but I knew I wasn't better at that. So it's kind of 2 old men going at it at the time. Two old geezers.
Man, don't even go there, man.
That's what he said. I didn't say that. I said, don't say that.
Yeah, dude.
You look bad. I didn't.
Was it true, like in Japan, when you signed the contract, on the contract for Japan, in Pride, did it say we do not frown upon any performance enhancing supplements? Did it say like you guys? Did it?
Everybody says, look, I didn't read contract. My Andrew said sign it, but no, he ain't gonna put it. No, they
did. I heard they say it.
They took the piss.
Yeah. Oh, they
took the piss.
They did.
They wanted to find out what you were doing other than steroids. You know, they like to know what you're up to. They knew me and Random were going hanging out in the bars when we could.
What was it like doing that? How was it like in Japan? How was
it? Just fanatics. I mean,
yeah,
these fans were different.
Like,
I mean,
you guys were like,
Godzilla walking around,
Rockstar.
Right? Yeah, it was unbelievable. At the Pride show, especially, you know, one time 100,000 people there at the show, this and that. But no, me and Rama have so much respect for the fans, but that's why they loved us, because they knew. And so after the whole card would end, so now me and Rama was walking out of the arena very, very slow, because they're up there just like, 50 of them, just wanting to touch. And we go over there, sign and this and that, but then the Marines were the security, and they want to get home. And me and Rand was holding up the party, because we take an hour and a half just to get back to the locker room and show our love to them people, because they showed it to us.
You know, I had a question when we were driving here too. I want to ask you, not worried about how much you got paid or anything like that. Did they pay you, because they paid you in cash, right?
Everybody knows these.
Oh, yeah. No,
but that's why, for example, the Crocop fight, I said no. You fuckers, no. But they just, 100,000, 150,000. And then, so Crocop, and they love me and Random, so you can either go out and party, or they'd always tell me and Random, the boss wants to take you out to dinner with us. So go wait in your room. So we go out to dinner with him like at midnight, and he wasn't budging negotiating for the fights, but he wouldn't mind spending $100K or $50K in a restaurant afterwards, man. So I'm drinking this sake in this restaurant, a big old 50, And the interpreter's like, "Oh, Coleman, that's $100 per shot." And I'm like, "Yeah, more. I'm getting paid by it." They brought up some whale meat, illegal, but the boss is Yakuza, baby.
All right.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are they ran by that? The Yakuza is the Japanese mafia, for people that don't know. Yakuza. They ran it though, right? They ran the organization, the Yakuza.
Well, yeah, but it was supposed to be not known.
Right.
Everybody's a little bit Yakuza over there, but you can't be known. You can't get busted, and that's what happened to Saki Kabara. He had enemies. And rumors were leaking out, so the National Enquirer over there, rumors were leaking out, and then finally it got too bad, and boom, he had all the sponsors, Fuji TV, which is ABC. That's what kept Pride alive. They had a TV deal with Fuji. It's like having a TV deal with ESPN, UFC 1. You know what I mean? So they were on TV. Me and Random go out to the clubs. They got TVs everywhere, pro wrestling, this and that, but as soon as they see us walk in, they had Pride fighting on, but they flipped to one of our fights. I mean, that's how technology, but the Fuji TV deal made it just like a must see for Japanese fans. And when that TV deal got pulled, it went fast. And it's where I told you Dana White. So now I beat Shogun Rua at the age of 42, broke his arm. Last fight on my contract. Everybody wants to know why I was so hyped. Many reasons. First of all, I didn't know I broke his arm. Second of all, last fight on my contract, I tried to renew it. They offered me 10 grand per fight. You're paying me 100. 10? And they gave me 90 days notice, because they didn't think I had a chance against this guy. They blew it. They gave me 90 days. I came in at 224. He was 229 pounds soft. And he wasn't smiling before the fight looking at me. He was nervous. And so I said, "All right, watch this. You guys fucked up, messed up, not fucked up, messed up." And they were just, They were heartbroken when I won the Grand Prix. They did not want me to win that damn thing. They didn't think I had a chance. And then I crushed their plans with Shogun Rua. And last one in the contract, I knew immediately, people, I'm getting paid for once, finally, what I'm going to deserve, because I got the ball in my corner now. And I knew this, plus I won the fight, and boom, the fight breaks out. I got really, everybody just assumed I had roid rage, this and that. No, people. I thought they were trying to scam me again. Why they pulled me off this guy? Because his arm was broke, you know what I mean? But, and then Silva attacks me. I had my dad and Phil Baroni in my corner, and so Shogun, who was brother Ninja, hops into the ring, and he's coming right up to me. You want some too, motherfucker? And he just backed right off. He went over to help
See that? I seen that.
And then Baroni, look, man, I'm a great corner man. You ain't got to worry about if something goes down after that fight, I'm going to be in front of you, protecting you. Baroni comes running to the middle of the ring. I'm standing there feeling, I know they're coming, man. I don't know how many, a lot. And he comes and grabs me around the waist and has me tight. And I'm feeling people coming. And it ain't that easy to separate a pair of hands once they're locked up. So I'm like yelling at him, what the fuck? What are you doing? Put me, and he lets go of me. I didn't see Silva coming, but Silva was making a V line towards me. And if he would have got there, he would have had a free shot and probably KO'd me, right? If you don't see it coming. But Baroni lets go of me. Silva got tripped up by somebody, and he fell right into my leg. I turned, and there he is. I threw 2 big haymakers at Silva. And Baroni's like, why don't you ever throw that in a real fight? I'm like, I don't know. I do in practice, but I missed him. Not going to say I connected. I missed him 2 times, but it's beautiful on camera. Right. And then I get shoved up to the ropes by like 5, 6 security guards, and I'm stuck up against the ropes. These guys hold me, and now these guys are coming, and I'm looking at my dad. He's trying to get in and help, telling him to stay the hell out. I mean, if somebody would have hit my dad, you ain't nobody's gonna see out of me. It's gonna be a problem. And so he's trying to get in. Moment, I got a couple. I think Rafael Cordillera, Tyson's coach. Yeah, he threw a cheap shot at me in the body. I see the back on camera. I love the guy. So me, handbox and shootbox, they're in the same locker room a lot of times. We got along great until then. But then anyways, I'm up against the ropes, and I look down, and somehow Baroni had jumped on Silva when he fell under my leg, and this and that. Somehow I looked down, and somehow they scrambled to the point where Silva was on his back, Baroni in his guard, and he's right there staring me face to face. And if I was a maimer or a killer, if it was him and me down there, I don't know for sure, but still was a killer. He's a good dude, but I could just crush came his face in easy. But
a stomp,
I could have stomped his face and just knocked him right, or violently knocked him out. But that's not me. But I did grab the rope. I did put my foot up and put it on his throat. I knew the cameras were wrong. So I grabbed the ropes and I did a little pro wrestling. But I wasn't pushing. But that pissed him off. And he got a lot of energy from my foot being on his throat. He scrambled to his feet. I'm assuming it's going to be on. There's people in between us. But he got up and he didn't even try to get to me. He just accepted the whole thing and went back to the corner. That's it. Now, get to the corner of the ropes. I'm letting everybody know. Boom, man.
Yeah.
Until I say so. Yeah. But I looked at the pride people and Yukino. She was like the American ambassador in our locker rooms, this and that, but just fake, man. Good luck, Mark. Well, I look at her, and she's down there just like distraught. This whole thing, I just crushed all their plans, and I'm like, and then sure enough, freaking Monday morning, they call up and, well, we want you to fight Shogun again. Nah. I said, nah, I'm gonna take this. I said, nah. Well, what are you gonna do? Oh, I don't know, man. I'm gonna enjoy this beer right now. 100,000, they said, you know. I said, nah. They couldn't, because they always had the power. You just had to say yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course UFC was going on. And Dana White didn't necessarily want me at that point in my career because he thought I was pretty washed up at that time. But he wanted me because they needed me. They're coming to America in like 3 months, and they had their Pride Grand Prix tournament going on. So all the top, Nogueira was Crocop. None of these guys were available for the American show. I was the only heavyweight they had with any kind of name that could fight Fedor. Nogueira, Crocop, all those guys were tied up into the, and they had to have me. And Dana White knew it. I had a manager talking for me. I said, yeah. He offered me like a 3 or 4 fight deal starting at 30-30, 40-40, 50-50. And I was happy with it, kind of. But now Pride went from 100, 150, 200, 250 was their last offer. Shows in like 35 days. 250. I told my man, I said, what? Just tell Dana to come up. 10,000 on each one of those fights, and I'm in, just like that. 10,000 is peanuts, nothing, right? And 250,000, 4 fights to be almost the same. But then my manager calls me back the next day and said, Dana's not budging. He told me yesterday, he's like, Dana wants to know what it's going to take. I very humbly asked for 10 grand. He's not budging. What the? And then, okay, 250 don't sound too bad. And a couple fights behind it as well. Click. I was happy, but sad at the same time. And then Dana White called me direct the next morning when the word got back to him. Did you sign with Pride? I said, well, yeah, kind of. What do you mean, kind of? I said, well, I told him I'm in, dude. I told him last night they went to the press. You know, he's like, you didn't sign? You didn't sign? I said, I gave my word, man. He's like, you're dumb, Coleman. Why don't you fly out to Vegas and we work something out? I don't understand why this didn't happen yesterday with my manager. I figured out why, because I'm guessing my manager talked me into taking the 250 because they wanted his cut percent. And I should just jumped on a plane, went out to Vegas, and me and Dana would have been best buddies for a long time. But I just told him, I said, man, they've been good to me, you know. You're a dumbass. Click. And sure enough, I don't know why he didn't just tell me, Coleman, we're buying Pride. I don't know why he didn't just tell me.
Pressure, like, let's change the whole game, man.
Fedor fight,
Yeah.
Pride sold. I'm 43 years old, and I know Dana doesn't even want me because Fedor whooped my ass. And so I sat for like, so I must have been 42. I sat for like a year and a half, no offer from Dana. And what am I going to do, man? I got nothing coming in. And I got to fight somewhere. There wasn't anywhere. You know what I mean? And then one buddy, Wes Sims, he's doing an interview. He's fighting pretty good now. Yeah, they're coming to Columbus, UFC is, and they're inducting me into the Hall of Fame. He just made that up, Wes did. And it just traveled real fast, and everybody liked the idea. All the fans were loving it. Be the 5th induction. And then, well, Dana and Joe Silver like scratching their head. Are we doing this? You know, they had so much going on. And when finally the phone rang, Joe Silva, hey, Coleman. I like Josie. We're going to induct you to the Hall of Fame in Columbus. I'm like, go on. You know, what else? I didn't care.
Yeah.
I didn't get, I did, but I didn't. That's it. Oh, great. Hang up the phone and the night before the show starts, Joe Silva calls me up or whoever called me up and here's the offer. Take it or leave it. Don't bring no managers into this, nothing. And I'll take it. Boom. So I'm back in. And then I was supposed to fight Brock Lesnar. Thank you very much. I'm heading down to 205, so I'm settling in at about 230, 228. And that's not a good time to fight Brock. 235, 240, I'll whoop his ass.
Right.
And with a good camp, but I knew it was going to be. I always say size matters, so, but I fortunately, I tore my MCL in practice and it was a legitimate 3 grade, whatever. So I had to show proof, of course. And I'm glad everything happens for a reason, but it might not turn out the way I wanted. And I said, if you guys are going to cut me, I'll fight Brock. You don't cut me. No, we won't cut you. I said, when I do come back, I want to go 205. And it was perfect because Shogun match. That was enough for them to put on TV.
Let's talk about Brock real quick. Say no injuries, full camp, you're good. Break down how you would beat him.
I got to get him down.
Yeah.
I will take him down. I'm Olympian. He was a damn good wrestler, but college national champion. You've seen what Couture did to him. Couture was beating him. Couture had him beat.
Yeah.
Until one thud changed the whole game.
Right.
And wow. I was feeling bad for Couture. His hands are, Brock's hands are like.
Yeah. They had a special make them. They make them special.
So yeah, just being real, but good camp, 240. Couture was beating. I beat Couture in wrestling. I would have beaten him. Should have beaten him in a fight, but whatever. I'm like, I'm drinking, man. No excuses. He got me. But Lesnar, I take him down and I ground and pound him.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
I love it.
Not simple, but that's simple.
You would have been able to control him with all his strength and his size.
Yeah. He'd be a hard guy to hold down, but
Yeah.
I can hold you down. And
TKO.
And say he got on top of me, I'm very calm. Nobody in the world could hold me down. Nobody. I only got taken down twice. Slipped with Shogun Rua. Somehow that guy couldn't wrestle, took me down. And Couture, at the end of my career, he got me with an inside trip. I had heard from the grapevine how he's going to beat me. I'm going to take you down, and you're going to belly down. He's going to jump up and guillotine, rear naked. How the f*** is he going to take me down? What do you mean, but sure enough, he did it. He did it, give him credit. But that day.
Right.
That day.
Yeah.
But Lesnar, it's going to be tough. It's going to be real. I have to be in my elite condition because I have to be able to move. Say he did get on top of me. I'm getting out. Lesnar ain't holding me down. No, he ain't holding me down. Maybe you can hold me down, but when you create the space to punch, I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm out.
When you were in Pride and you're getting paid in cash.
Yes. That was my question I wanted to ask. So, nowadays it's different. You can only bring so much money on an airplane. They give you
back then we could.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Pull it back.
That's what I'm saying. So, how did you bring it across?
You got your cornerman, this and that, and you still got somebody's got to take too much. The X-rays didn't catch it.
Was it? Did they pay you in American money, or was it the?
So Crocop whoops my ass. I'm pretty upset. This and that. 5 o'clock in the morning, I get my call. Sit down with Sakabara and Yukino. We called her horse mouth. Hope she don't sue us.
Because she had probably a horse mouth, right?
She did have horse mouth, but and she, she was Saki Kabara's right hand lady. He was a nice guy, and he would get too nice with the fighters and commit to doing something, and she would have to tell him, no, we'll send you something when we think about it. But
who came up with that name? Or was it just?
Oh, I don't. We all did, but I don't know who. But yeah,
All right,
Like I
sorry.
said, after the Shogun fight, she's the first person I found, and she was just like this.
All this, yeah.
I looked at her, I said, "It's gonna be all right." With a smile. I didn't say hard. I said, "It's gonna be all right, Yukino. You guys are gonna be all right."
You're like flying high. You're like, you suck it, man.
He had no clue, man. It was like, I'm 42, but I'm still 22 in my
Which is
mind.
great because
I'm
you
gonna
knew
come
it.
back
You knew
and
it.
win. I'm gonna come back and
Yeah.
get belts.
You knew it.
I never thought I wasn't gonna come back and get the
Right,
belts. I just
right.
got to put a camp together, and I felt unbeatable all the time.
Yeah.
But
So go back to so they come back for
so Crocop, I walk in there, this and that, and pulls a little bag, slides it over. No, you don't pull a bag. Slides out like a stack of biggest I ever seen was 15 stacks of 10,000, so 150. He ain't feel so bad all of a sudden.
What do you do with it?
now is that what's the name of the
$dollar bills.
or it is it's American $100 bills?
Just perfect. You know what I mean? And then what you give us, you gotta watch who you give it to, because
Yeah, they're gonna
Like
pocket
that-
it.
and
Yeah.
it-
they're supposed to give it to you back in America, but old Brony will take that.
Will you take your money?
Knows, man. I wouldn't, you know.
Guys, let's cut to the chase. I made an ebook. It's got over 700 methods and strategies to build your YouTube channel to get views. It actually works. I made this because over the 3 years prior to this podcast, I bought all the courses, spent thousands of hours watching all these YouTube videos, and none of them actually give you any information. This ebook has 700 plus secret strategies and methods that only top YouTube influencers use. I promise it works. Money back guarantee. Trust me, go buy it now. Half off.